Okay, hello! Welcome to another episode of Bun and Beard. Here you are in my office. Not hers, mine. We've got a dilemma we're talking about today, and we need your help making a decision. We're actually going to put a poll at the end of this video. We've not done that before, so we can see how it works.
Video?
In the video? International Simon video.
Yeah, that's video.
Okay. We're going to put a poll.
YouTube.
At the end of our YouTube, we're going to put a poll. You guys can vote. We need you to help us make a decision. Back on with it. So what are we doing, Jessica? Where are we going in March?
Feels like a long way away. In March, we're going to Calpe, which is in Spain. If this is Spain, it's here.
I've made a map.
Oh, fab.
It'll be warm. We're going on a warm weather training camp. Last year was February, so we're going another 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
I've been on a warm weather training camp every year for the last 5 or maybe 6 years. Last year was Calpe. Last year was good. We enjoyed it a lot.
Like Calpe.
It's really good for having a whole batch of time, not working, concentrating on riding, especially if you've got a racing calendar coming up. Getting that block of specific training done is a dream, isn't it? And you can do blocks of training here at that time of the year, but you're never going to get a day rained off or super cold, and it's just nice to have a different environment and just focus on riding your bike.
Yeah. For me, by then I'll probably be ready to have some different scenery. Because already around here I've worked out what routes I can do for certain types of sessions, and you end up doing quite a lot of repetition. So it's a nice way to just add, inject some new interest into your training.
Yes.
Get a bit of sunshine.
And it refreshes us when we get back here. We'd have sat through the long winter of doing most of the training here, a few weeks in the warm, come back, and there's not too much of rubbish weather left before the British summer.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. We're going to Calpe, and that's why we're going, basically. It's training. We're going with the race team that Jam sponsor, the Jam Cycling coached by BPC race team.
No.
Is that what we're called?
Jam Cycling Race Team coached by BPC.
Ah, sorry.
Is the team you sponsor.
So we're going out with those guys again. Can't wait, looking forward to it. Our biggest problem is, how do we get there in a responsible way? Easy answer is fly. But the problem with flying, what's the Swedish term? There's a new Swedish term, and I should remember this because I spoke to a guy from Sweden earlier on today, which is it's flight shaming is the term. There's a Swedish word for flight shaming. I'll maybe look it up and stick it.
We're flight shaming ourselves.
I've been flight shaming myself for weeks, haven't I?
Yeah.
On my Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, a few weeks ago I went through all the travelling I did last year to enjoy riding my bike, whether that be I drove to training camp last year in Calpe, or driving to races, or flying to nice places to ride, and it was a massive carbon footprint, way over what all science papers say a person is allowed to produce a year, way over, I did on just travelling to ride my bike.
Although, in fairness to you, you had 2-person allowance, because that was us together. Nearly everywhere you went, I went.
That's very true.
So you can sort of half it.
We carpooled with each other.
Apart from some of your fights. He went to extra training camp.
I went to extra training camp at Tenerife, which was great, and I loved it. And I cashed in a load of air miles, so it didn't even actually cost me any physical money. It was brilliant. I had a great time, but it cost the earth. So what we're trying to do this year is trying to figure out what is the best way for us to get to training camp. Now, a couple of parameters I have to throw in place. First parameter is we're going there for a specific amount of time. We're meeting friends of ours there. We're not very flexible with our dates. That's the first thing we have to look at. We're going there to go and perform a 10-day block of cycling. So we're not going to ride there. As kind of adventurous but hateful as that would be to cycle through France and Spain at that time of year, we're just not going to ride there. Plus we couldn't get ourselves there in shape to train with all the kit we need. It would be kind of pointless. Yeah. So that's not an option for this kind of trip. We're not searching for the cheapest, zero thrills, that we're not students going off on an exploring journey having to get on a coach that takes 4 days to go via Nepal to get to Spain. We are after just the most economically conscious, no, environmentally conscious way of getting there, aren't we?
But fairly speedy.
Has to be has to get us there on time and get us home on time. Can't take forever. I don't mind spending a premium to get it right. That's the important thing. I think travel these days probably should cost a bit more to make allowances for the fact that we're producing too much carbon and stuff like this. So, I've been doing the options. Let's run through the options. I've not told Jess all the options yet. You've not seen them. Option number 1, and by far the easiest. After 2 or 3 hours worth of research, I can't help but look past getting on an aeroplane. Now, the benefits of getting on the aeroplane: multiple flights a day from Manchester Airport, which is
45 minutes
just over that hill over there.
Yeah.
Short train from our front door to Manchester Airport. They're quite capable of taking bike boxes. We're very comfortable with aeroplanes. We know how it works. It'll get us there on time, probably-ish, give or take. It'll get us home again on the right day without any problems. In terms of pricing-wise, flights with Jet2 for the 2 of us and bike boxes came out at £336. So it's not cheap by any means, but it's not the end of the earth for 2 people travelling. Return.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's not bad. Let me show you this. On the Ryanair website, they even say you can offset your carbon by making a donation. A donation of £1. Wow. I bet that goes far. Anyway. So that's option number 1.
Do they justify that?
No, there's nothing about that.
Justification.
Yeah. I've got the screen grab of it. So
£1.
it's just like, tick this box and then you spend £1. I'm curious to understand whether or not anybody does that and it kind of goes, cool,
Done.
I'm flying guilt-free.
Well, I think they probably
I've
do.
offset my carbon. They probably
And that's
do, unfortunately.
quite misleading, I would say.
Exceptionally misleading. Because it's got, if you know anything about maths, you've
that
got to
cannot
assume, without having to dig even further below the surface, you've got to assume that's nonsense.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're going to be like, oh, I've done it now.
Next option that we want to look at is getting the train. I love the idea of getting the train. Trains in Europe are usually pretty good. And the bottom of Spain is quite a long way away, and trains are really good at getting in fast, straight lines. I was speaking to someone earlier on today who they've started getting the train everywhere, and they enjoy it so much that his wife is actually quitting her job to become a train driver because she's enjoying getting the train everywhere so much. They made a rule to not fly. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Love that. So the idea we have is get a train. The ferry seems very complicated and means we've got to drive all the way across the UK and then all the way across Spain once we've done it. So train is the next one to look at. Here's the problem with the train.
Yeah.
So for a start, we've got to get ourselves to London. Eurostar to Paris, Paris to Barcelona. That's not too complicated, and you can do most of that and be in Barcelona by about, if we leave here first thing in the morning, 7, we'd be in Barcelona by 9 o'clock at night. You'd get Barcelona at night and you'd have to get a hotel, because from Barcelona to where we're going, it's 500 kilometres. 525 to be exact. So that 500k, we've got a couple of options from there. We can either stick to just the train, wait till the next morning, so that means a hotel overnight in Barcelona. So that costs gone up a little bit. Get the train from Barcelona to Valencia down to Alicante, which is where our friends are flying in, be there on time to meet them. It's a bit of, it involves a night in Barcelona, basically. It is the headache. Now, the alternative to that is what I think is a quality option that should be considered alongside option 1, is getting the train to Barcelona, and then instead of getting the rental car in Alicante, get the rental car in Barcelona and drive the last leg of the journey and meet our friends and pick them up at the end. You kind of have this awkward, should we drive through the night kind of thing? Could we get to Calpe early? We still have a night in Barcelona. Train, London to Barcelona for 2 people, assuming there's no additional fare on any of the networks for bike boxes, £539. There's a 17-hour coach, which I'm not considering. £539. I mean, that just feels like a lot of money to only get us to Barcelona.
And for it to take twice as long.
The trains the whole way is add another £85 to it. So you're talking well over 600 quid for the two of us to get the train the whole way, and we definitely won't get there until the middle of the second day, having gone via Valencia. So I suppose our conundrum is, should we, as responsible humans, Earth-considering humans, sit through the train and pay what will probably be coming up on almost double by the time we've done it, because it's a nicer way to travel? And if we should, that's what we should do. If that's what people should be doing nowadays, that's what we should be doing. Or do we get the flight and then look at some form of offsetting? The problem with offsetting is I've looked into it, aside from Ryanair's £1 joke. The other options don't seem to be that much more credible in my mind.
Why?
Well, let me show you. So 1.2 tonnes, they want to charge me £27 to offset that carbon. That maths doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like it's nearly enough to offset what they're saying is a year's worth of my carbon for 27 quid. If you could solve all my problems for paying for 27 quid, well, I'll just give you 27 quid every time I use a tonne of carbon. But I don't think that really makes sense. What I like about these guys is, they compare it, and they use the words, in order to stop climate change, this is the max amount of CO2 that can be generated by a single person in a year. So it's 0.6 of a tonne. Yeah. So we're using 1.2 tonnes just for this journey. So we use both of our allowance for carbon for just this journey. Now that allowance is to cover everything in a year.
But then they say the average amount by a single person, you use 8.4 tonnes.
So at the moment, the average amount that people are using is 8.4 tonnes. Now, we shoot ourselves in the foot straight away getting on any aeroplane, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I fail to see how £27 worth of offsetting covers me for a tonne a year. So regardless of how they calculate it, it's all about what can they physically do to offset that carbon, right? Because if you get on a plane, you've made the carbon. They can't take it back.
Well, you can sequester carbon.
That tech is so new, that's like nothing yet. You can't do that.
Trees.
Yeah, okay, so the projects they talk about here are planting some trees in developing countries, or helping people in developing countries burn fuel in different ways, so they're making them more fuel efficient. You can offset your emissions in some Swiss development projects. Doesn't say anything about what they are. But my point being is that you've made the tonne of carbon regardless, so whatever they do needs to be suitable for offsetting a tonne of carbon. And it just doesn't feel like it makes any sense to me, because if they're saying the average person in the EU makes 8.4 tonnes of carbon a year, right, and for 1 tonne of carbon they want to charge me £27, well, for 226 quid I should be able to offset my entire year. We can just have 226 quid. But it's not that simple, because I think if everybody in the country who took a flight this year paid to offset their carbon, I don't think you could literally plant trees quick enough to make up the amount of money you're being given. So I personally don't trust the offsetting calculators or anything to do with offsetting model at all, because the sequestering technology isn't good enough.
But isn't our money going towards that technology?
No. So it just says nothing, and that's the thing. It doesn't say anything about it on here. All it says is it's going towards people in developing countries, and then it goes into a lot about their education. That's cool. I'm all for that. Sounds like several charities that people would give money to. But when we're talking here about flights and trying to make the correct choice about which mode of transport to use, all of this seems like a bit of a web just to deceive me. It can't be as easy as paying £24 and then flying guilt-free. Can it? Right, so, with all that in mind, here's a poll. What would you do?
What would you do if you were in our conundrum?
If you were us, what would you do?
Inside this conundrum.
Thanks for your help. Bye.